okay? All right. So just as a reminder, what is the distributive property? We did it once already today. Good. It's when we have those parentheses, and to get rid of the parentheses, we use multiplication. Okay, so for example, if I had like 2 times 5x minus 7, and we use that distributive property. Okay, I always like to make my sound effects with arrows. Pew! Pew! And that would tell us that we're going to do 2 times what?
5x.
Good. We'd start with 2 times 5x. And then we'd also do 2 times negative 7. Okay, and then that allows us to simplify. So 2 times 5 is 10. And 2 times negative 7? Negative 14. So if you want to write like pew, pew, if that helps you, because that helps me, that's what I always say. You're going to hear that so much this year. Pew, pew, and you're going to be like, oh, distribute. Got it. Okay, that's how that works. All right, here we go with our first example. Our directions tell us to solve. When we see that direction that says solve, what does that mean our answer should look like? How do we know when we have the answer? I think you said it, but for some reason there's this weird humming going on. What is that? Do you guys know what that is? I don't know what that is. What did you say? When you figure out the variable. Good. So for example, last week we did like j equals 26. So when you figure out that variable. Yeah, you can. Where's that humming coming from?
Big bass sounding.
Yeah. It's weird. Feels like there's a spaceship coming. All right, number 1. Times the quantity of 4n minus 7 equals negative 18. So our goal is to get that n completely by itself. I like to draw that line down that equal sign. That helps me realize that what's on that same side as that n. So what's on the same side as n?
7.
The 7, the 2, and the parentheses, and the coefficient, the 4. So in order to simplify this, we're going to get rid of those parentheses first. And to do that, we use that distributive property, which we've now done twice today. So we go pew, pew. If it helps you to write out the multiplying, take time to do that step. Okay, if that doesn't help you and you're like, I can do that in my head, I don't need to write that out, it's okay to skip that step. That's fine. Some people are kind of, I think they're about half and half. Half of us like to write it, half of us are at the point where we feel like we can skip it. This first chapter, I like to write it all out every time. As we move forward, I kind of skip it as we go, depending on where we're at. All right, so what is negative 2 times 4? Negative 8n plus negative 2 times negative 7. Positive or negative? Positive. A negative times a negative equals a positive. Did we do anything to the right side? No. We didn't undo anything over here. We got rid of the parentheses, but that was just simplifying. We didn't get rid of anything yet, so we don't have to do anything to both sides. Now, this is like your cozy sweatshirt. Do any of you have a cozy sweatshirt kind of in the fall, winter that you're like, that's your go-to sweatshirt? Yeah, some of us that are dating people, you might have like your go-to sweatshirt. It's like the person you're dating, right? No? Is that a thing anymore? Kind of? Okay. But it also just might be your own sweatshirt. That's cool too. Okay, I don't wear my husband's sweatshirts because he smells bad. Alright, so are we going to get rid of the negative 8, or, oh, sorry. So the whole theory with the sweatshirt is we're kind of at this nice, cozy sweatshirt part. This is where it should feel comfortable, where we feel like we can do this part. So, are we going to get rid of the negative 8 first, or the 14?
14.
Good. And how would we get rid of a plus 14?
Minus 14.
Oh my gosh. Good. What do we call those operations that undo each other? Good. Inverse operations. So 14 minus 14.
Negative 32.
I think you answered a question, but not the question I was questioning. What's 14 minus 14? 0. Do I need to write negative 8n plus 0? No. That's just negative 8n equals, now Angela, negative 18 minus 14.
Negative 32.
There you go, negative 32. All right, at this point, we have to rethink a little bit. Some of us see that negative 8, and we think, how do you get rid of a negative 8? You add 8. We have to slow our brains down. What are we doing with that negative 8 and that n when they're touching? Multiplying. If you need to rewrite it out so you can write a times in there, you can. Do you have to? No. Your choice. If you need that in there, that little times, to remind you. Okay. Now we're doing the inverse of multiply. What's the inverse of multiply? Divide. And you can use that division line or you can use a fraction line. Since we're undoing it, undo it on the other side. What's negative 8 divided by negative 8? 1. Do I need to write 1n?
No.
No. That's the same thing as just n. Remember, that's implied. If we just see n, it's implied that there's one n there. And how much is one of those n's worth? What is negative 32 divided by negative 8? 4. And that should be our answer. Can we double check our answer in this case? Yeah. Okay, it's really nice if you have time to get on your Desmos. Remember, Desmos is on your computer. It's much smarter than your phone calculator. It's this one, the 327. If you swipe up on the bottom, there's actually 2 calculators. You want the scientific one, so 3 and 27. Okay, whoa, there's lots of stuff on there. All right, so if I have negative 2, parenthesis, 4, and it says times n. What did we say is n?
1n.
It's 1n, but how much is the n worth? 4 minus 7. And when I put that in there, it should equal negative 18. Did it?
Yes.
Yep, so that means we have it right. Okay, I'm not requiring you this year to check your answers. Just for some of you, if you want to know if you're right, that's a good way to do it. All right. What's going to happen now is at your tables, you are either going to be in a group of 2 or a group of 3. Okay, if you have a group of 3 already, that means you're in a group of 3. If you have 4 people at your table, split off into 2 and 2. If you don't know anyone, start by introducing your name. Okay, so my name is such and such, and I'm amazing. Okay, you are going to work through a problem together. So that can look like a couple of different things. If you feel comfortable enough, you could work together on one whiteboard and talk through it. If you feel like you don't really know the person you're working with and you don't really want to talk with them that much because they're kind of weird, okay, you can work on it separately on your different whiteboards and then kind of compare whiteboards and see what you did the same, what you did different, that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? So you get to choose. If you want one whiteboard for your group, you do one whiteboard. If you want everyone to have their own whiteboard and work on it separate. You're going to work on a problem very similar to this, and it goes on your whiteboard. You're picking the problem. Mystery problem.
I don't know sign language. This is
Yeah. Do you want to take a picture? Do you have a phone? Yeah. Do you want to take a picture? You can. Yeah. You just have to yell at me. You guys are going to pick problems. I'll go around and people pick problems. No, bring this around while I go for your pets. Because I don't know if I'm even logged into eHelp Us. Alright, so you're working. Alright, so number 2, last problem of our notes. We have negative 89 equals x minus 3 times the quantity of, so that tells us we have those parentheses, 2x minus 5. And then that end parenthesis. Alright, so let's first recognize where is our x on what side of that equal sign. Good, it's on the right side. So I like to draw that line down the equal sign right away. Some people do not because they like to simplify first before they do that. But it just helps me realize, okay, the x is on this side. And what do you see on that side?
That there's 2 x's.
Yeah, there's 2 terms that have x's. We have this negative 7x and this 2x. So we want to combine those down to 1x somehow. Can I just do negative 7x with 2x right away?
No.
No, why not? There's the parentheses, and what's on the outside of the parentheses?
Negative 3.
And what are we doing with that negative 3 in the parentheses?
Distributing.
Before we distribute, it's multiplying, right? So we can't just get rid of that negative 3. If it was adding, we could. But because it's multiplying, we can't. So we're going to do distributive, as Tyke said. Perfect. We're going to go pew. Pew. Okay. Personally, it helps me to write out that multiplying negative 3 times 2x. Oh, why isn't it negative 3? I should have said that, sorry. Oop. It's that minus turns into a beautiful negative. Just like how caterpillar turns into a beautiful butterfly. Negative 3 times, what's the second part? We did negative 3 times 2x. Negative 3 times, not just 5. Negative 5. Beautiful. So negative 3 times positive 2 would be a negative 6. What's really important, I'm noticing a couple people are forgetting to bring that x with it. That's really important that that was an x term. So as we multiply, it's not just negative 3 times 2, negative 3 times 2x, which turns into negative 6x. Okay? Negative 3, positive 15. Do you mind grabbing that, Nasra? Thank you. Was there anything else on this side that we need to deal with? What else was there other than the parentheses? Yeah, that negative 7x. And we can sneak in a plus sign there if you'd like to. But that just gets brought straight down. Okay, equals negative 89. Does this look like our nice cozy sweatshirt yet? Does it look like something we're familiar with? Exactly, ready to solve? Not quite yet. What part don't we like about this?
The 2 x's.
Yeah, we still have 2 terms that have a variable x. So those are like terms though, which means we can add them. So if you're not sure, it's okay to use a calculator. I'm going to use mine. Remember when you use your calculator, we want this green one. There's 2 on your computer. You want that nice green scientific calculator one. So negative 7 plus negative 6. When we use our calculator, do we type in the x's? No. We just add the coefficients. So negative 13x plus 15. We didn't get rid of anything, we just simplified, so we're still having it equal to 89. Alright, now is it that nice cozy sweatshirt that we're ready to solve?
Yes.
Yes, we have an x term and we have something with a constant without the x. So what are we going to undo first, that negative 13 or that plus 15?
Plus 15.
Good, and how do we undo an adding 15? Minus 15. Good, if we do it on one side? Do it on the other side. So this is where I like to draw my horizontal line. That way it tells me I have math to do vertically. So vertically over here, we have negative 89 minus 15, or we could think of it as a plus negative 15. We get negative 104 equals, what am I left with on the right side? Good, negative 13x. That 15 minus 15, that's undone. That's no longer there. We don't need to worry about it. And then how am I going to undo that negative 13? Divide, good. Because that negative 13 and that x, they're touching, which tells us it's multiply, so we need to divide. I'm going to do my fraction line this time. But remember, if you're using that division sign, like we did on this one with that divide with the 2 dots, that's fine. Both mean divide. Okay, I'm going to use my handy-dandy calculator because I don't know my multiples of 13. But I do know a negative divided by a negative should give me a positive, so that's a good check. And we get positive 8. Can I check my work? Yep. I'm going to take that 8, and I'm going to put it anywhere there's an x up here. Okay, so I'm going to do negative 7. And that says x. Let's just looked at each other and laughed. I don't know. You tell me what. It was weird. Okay. So negative 7 times, what's our x? 8 minus 3, parenthesis, 2x. So 2 times, what's our x? 8 minus 5. And does our answer equal negative 89? Yep. If it didn't equal negative 89, what does that tell us? Yeah, something went wrong. Doesn't quite make a true equation. Remember, solve means to make a true equation. All right, you do have a quick practice. It's only one problem today, so you should be able to finish during class.